Hello and welcome to the Saturday edition of Big Scott 35, uh, where we do a little chit chatting. Sometimes I show cards, a little personal. Today, we always go over the week there was and the week there will be. Uh, and also, we're going to be doing answering two questions from Mr. Fisher Bike. Sorry about that. Little my monster attacking me this morning. Let's see. So this past week, let's say I had JD on Sunday night, a little last minute. Just Nats man is Easter, had family stuff, so awesome. You just reach out to some friends, and JD says sure, and him and Omar on Card Hedger have a great podcast. We had a lot to talk about. Still have stuff to talk about. We're in a group chat, and I'll talk more about JD and the questions that Mr. Fisher Bike has for us. So that was an awesome conversation. I know as of yesterday he was lacking five subs for 1,000. So if anybody that watches this is not sub to JD Sports Cards, I'll put the link in the description below. Please, go right now and do it and come right back and watch this. And I'll talk a little bit more about his channel here in a little while. And that was just a greatness. We talked about, why we watch the channels we watch, what gives us the confidence that when we watch these people, there's any truth to what they're saying. When we're looking for news or suggestions or anything, what's hot, what's not, why do we watch what we watch? Which I'll get into this a little bit. And also just had fun. Chat was awesome. Pretty good. We had a good turnout again. Really enjoy doing that. It's fun. And then I showed off SGC cards that I got back, just 2023. Seems like that one wasn't very popular in 2023. SGC cards. I know that's not the too pretty spectacular, but and I'll talk a little bit of why and how that is here in a few minutes, why I have those and why I did it that way. Well, first off, SGC had the special of $9, so it kind of fits in with what I like to do in my hobby. So I just thought it was a no-brainer to get 10 of them done for $90. I mean, when it's a deal like that, that's what it was, 5-6 years ago. So had to jump on that. Did a Thursday, I picked up some stuff. It talked about watching Mandalorian. I need to get into reading again. I still, just haven't been feeling well. Allergies, a lot of rain going on around here. I actually got sick at work last night. Told you this Saturday is personal. My shoulder's been flaring up really, really bad. I do have that surgery next Wednesday on the 26th of April. So you might see me in a sling, not for too long, for a couple of videos. Mr. Mike will be here helping me out for a few days. And then we're here today. Let's see. Today I'll be going to a toy show, retro show here in Winston-Salem. Retroid games and vinyl. Little bitty shop here in downtown. But they had this show in the fall. It's the Camel Retro Toy Show or something like that. Camel City, something, whatever. Uh, and it's pretty cool. Just like a swap meet. Got DJ playing 90s music. Uh, Basically, even touched on some 80s stuff when I was there. Food trucks, just pretty cool. For being a retro, they do have a lot of pops. Pops are everywhere, but pops are, it fits the retro because a lot of it is, older stuff from older shows and things. So, you can have pops in anything. So I'm going to be going to that here this afternoon. And it's 5 minutes from my house. That's the best part. And it's free to get in. Two best things: 5 minutes from my house. Parking is tough because it's downtown. It's on the street. You have to find a place to park and then walk there, which is not. It doesn't kill me, but it's just not parking lot. Pull in, and so that's the other thing. But it looks like we're gonna have beautiful weather. Rain's gonna not be here today, so pretty good. And then come back and watch some baseball. Miss some 1 o'clock games. Didn't get to watch it. I just didn't feel like watching. I just felt bad last night. It was one of those nights where you catch yourself just staring at at the screen and don't remember what you watched for the last 20 minutes. Just one of those nights. You can hear it right now. Let's see. And then right now, let's talk about Mr. Fisher Bike. Jason, everybody's friend. I think everybody knows who Jason is, Mr. Fisher Bike in our community. One of the most selfless guys in the community. Reaches out to more people than he reaches out to everyone. And just always, very involved in this community. I have to say that. And never stirring up controversy. Just, he generally wants to get to know people in this community. And he asks these questions, and this is just a way for him to get to know. And this too shows a lot. I'll talk about this a lot. When I invite people on, I like to know how and why they collect the way they collect. And that gives me insight on, their past, a little bit more on why they do things they do. It just it opens up like to other things. So, for me, it started with baseball cards. My earliest ones are why I collect and who I collect. 1974. This I might be ramble, so please stick in there with me, everyone, and Jason. So 1974 is my earliest ones. That year of baseball. That's even before I turned 3 in October of that year. But my dad would sit down with me, and I might have not have comprehended what was going on, and he would have me sit in his lap while watching games. And we'd flip through the cards, look at the stats, and talk about the players, just like how we do now. We just don't do it with cards. And he doesn't. He didn't realize he was setting me up for. And I didn't have a lot of cards from that time. Maybe every other time we went to the store, they'd pick up a pack. I didn't really get huge into collecting. Like I had to start really getting into it till the early 80s. That's when I got, I was in my early teens, even before preteen. And we had a card shop in town that really, it was a jeweler that did jewelry, kind of a shady character. And he had baseball cards or sports cards as well. And that's my only shop. So when I say stuff like that, like, a lot of things I just didn't have in my area. Didn't realize they were even there. Like traded and updated. I, I never really saw them. I would see them in the Beckett's because I was like a lot of other kids. You get the Beckett, you read it, looking for the arrows, who's hot, who's not. Uh, but there was no flagship. There was only one set. I didn't remember seeing other sets until like Warworth, or we had a Nichols in town. I don't know if people know what that is, but it's just like a Walmart before it was a Walmart. And they had their own little box sets of like 25 cards. It'd be sets, all stars or great hitters, sluggers, or pitchers, or whatever. And I would pick those up, of course. And then cards in food. My parents would pick those up, especially my father losing his job. So we had good income to no income in the 80s. And that was a tough time. And, so for me to do stuff, I started getting odd jobs and stuff, even in my early teens, working around the ball fields. I lived close to the ballpark, so I'd keep score, work the freshman stand, pick up trash, anything that I could get a few dollars under the table to buy cards or anything, action figures, because the cards kind of went into got me in that collecting mode, which oddly enough not oddly, but comes from more of my mother. My mom collected. My earliest recollection was bells, then dolls, Jimmy Johnson stuff. She collects as well. She gets something of movies for a while. She just gets in that. And that's kind of the way I am. And so now I even made a list. Somebody called it a ladder, which makes sense to me. But it changes, like where my focus is. Right now, I'm very focused. I think when the season started with Pete Alonso and my Mets, but I'm a Gary Carter first and foremost. I got the Expos hat on. And why I collect Gary Carter. So Gary Carter, love Johnny Bench. My dad had me. I go to games, love the catcher, was drawn to catcher, so he had me watch Johnny Bench all the time. Johnny Bench had a show called The Baseball Bunch right after his career. It might have even been the last year or so of his career, but he would have all the big names: George Brett, Ozzie Smith, Robin Yount, Paul Mott, any of the big names. I think Willie McGee. And it was only like one or two seasons. You can see some of them on YouTube. Love San Diego Chicken, was on there every show. Lasorda was on there every show. But he had Gary Carter on. And they were very good at Montreal at the time. And he showed up, and my dad's telling me about this team from another country. Didn't understand it really that much at that time. But they were on TV quite a bit at that time because they were so good. They probably would have, there was a good chance they would have won the World Series, but the strike. So I just started I got drawn to Gary Carter, and I was buying, looking for the rack packs, the cellos with Gary Carter on the front. Even then, it drew me to Tim Raines and Andre Dawson and Rogers, and I started watching the Expos, and I really liked the Expos. They became probably my favorite team at that time. And then he got traded to the Mets, 85. So I started watching the Mets, and it was hard for me to understand. Let's see, 85 season, that would have made me 13. Still, I was learning the business part of it. A lot of 13-year-olds that now, even then, they understood. I just watched the games. I knew what was going on. My dad had me learning the game at a very young age. So I knew what was going on, but the business part of it, not so much. Uh, so he went to the Mets. So I started watching the Mets, and they won the World Series in '86, and been a Met fan ever since. I'm an Orioles fan as well in the American League. That's why you'll see me on my channel talk about it. I'm really excited about this Orioles team. I hope they will fight for a run for a wild card spot, but they might even lose out to people in their own division for that with Toronto and Tampa, right? But the Yankees. So, uh, but they got a winning record right now, so hopefully they can continue on with that. Uh, so that is why I collect those, and then I have a list of, watch my channel, and I have, you know, the other kid, Ken Griffey Jr., just all the hype in '89. I graduated in '89. Frank Thomas, uh, '90. Let's see, you know, of course I had Johnny Bench, but then I go outside. So this collecting that had me set up. Wow, so stuff I'm really really like. I started uh, to hang on to or look for. So Star Wars. I got rid of all my Star Wars stuff as a teenager, but I started collecting it again, picking it up here and there afterwards in my 20s and even after that. Uh, but I've always been drawn to the stormtroopers. Some of my friends think that's weird. Coworkers, I have a stormtrooper shirt on now. Uh, so uh, I collect that. But I do collect all, if I like it, I'll pick it up for Star Wars. Uh, Hockey, uh, I think it was a '93 Sega hockey NHL, where a lot of people got into, but also me and my friends just at that time, to me, the hockey game, like there were just players all over the place. Pavel Bure, who I have right back here. Uh, you know, I, there's Lemieux and Lindros, and it was. I love watching it now. The playoffs starting Monday, so I just enjoy it. So I started picking up a little hockey. But that's way down on my list. And what happens is my focus changes to what's going on. So I will focus right now. The season started. I always try to pick up Pete Alonso's. Uh, try. I'm almost a single player guy right now with Pete. What happened was this last summer with Gary Carter, I picked up a super collector set, uh, or a super collector's collection of Gary Carter's. So pretty much for non-autos, I am pretty much, or non-mem cards, I have probably 90%, if not more, of just regular cards of his. Uh, Even cards that are not listed anywhere. I mean, this guy has, I got blank fronts, blank front backs, error cards. I had it. I don't even see on lists. Uh, Very impressive, and I was very happy to purchase that. Spent a little change on that one, but it was a huge collection. Um, so I was happy for that. Victor, rookie card specialist, got me hooked on that. Didn't realize I was going to buy it all, but I bought it. Uh, so I was happy with that. So I'm still doing like playing day. I like to get to playing day autos on different cards, in-person autos. And every once in a while, I'll look for other cards that's on the registry, that's MEMS and autos, because that's basically what I have. But I have a box full right now that needs to go to PSA for grading. Ones I just can't find in the wild at all, much less selling it at a crazy price. Um, but until they do something with a lower price for us people in the registry. I don't know. I have cards there now, and I'm really reluctant to send stuff to PSA. And that's a story for another day. That's not what Jason wanted, but that's why I collect and who I collect. I hope I didn't leave. I do a little wrestling, so my focus changes. Wrestling's more of a fun thing where I open packs, and same with Star Wars. I really like character collecting, and Darren Carlos got me turned on to COMC. So I did pick up some stuff on there, which I'll show next week. And I grade with everyone. So whoever's got the best deals for what I'm looking for. And that's how I collect. So, I'm trying to do something with a lot of my collection that I don't have any interest in. I collect things that move the needle for me. So you'll be so what I was saying before, I like the rookie cards. So a flagship base. So I like to get the rookies of the hot players. And this year was a lot. So, and I like to have them graded at least one. So while they were having that, I was trying to grade like as many like Rushmans and ones like that to try to get a 10. And also just have some low end trade stuff. So I can stack them up and maybe get something nicer. But that's all I was doing with the 2023 stuff. Now, who I watch and why I watch them, what keeps me watching them. At first I was just taking in as much. When I first found YouTube, sports cards on YouTube, which was probably 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago, because I've been doing videos now about 5 years, so over 5 years. So when I found it, I was taking in as much as I could. I found, first, Jabs and another guy before that, which they were all over. They didn't impress me. I found Baseball Collector right after that early on. Got me in the PSA registry. Because I thought grading at that point was a joke. I still kind of feel like it's a joke. I think it's a need, but I don't know if we're using it the best way sometimes. And to jack up prices because of a card, a low number card gets a high number grade. If it's out of like 99, that 99 is a ridiculously low number of cards, right? 199 is a ridiculously low number. And everybody gripes about how much cards are getting graded. I'm sorry, I'm going. See, tangent, I'll babble. But anyway, so I started going to watching these videos. And what drew me back to watching them was just basically if I like had some type of connection with that person, and or that's basically it. There's no or like, and then I started when I started talking to these people online and offline is really when. So I'm not I watch all of Mike O's videos. I watch all of Ed Westergriff's videos. I get now to where the guys from Insert Revolution podcast. I watch their podcast. I watch their videos, Steve and Dave. I watch Carlos. And they're and get to JD. JD, to me, he loves 90s inserts. I missed out a lot on that. I have 90s cards, but I also miss out on some years of 90s because I just didn't have the funds to buy them. But he does those 90s inserts, and he shows me cards all the time, and I'm in awe of them because I'm like, man, I've never seen that one before. It sounds familiar, but and those are cards you're not going to see unless you're digging in boxes at shows or looking for them on the internet. I mean, unless you're really, because if I go in and put in Ken Griffey Jr. or Kyle Ripken, it seems like the same cards pop up in my, most relevant whatever. So it's pretty awesome. He's telling me all these places he's going, and there's so many different card places to buy online. He sends me a link to one, and I go to it. Oh, okay. I don't even realize I'm already signed up to it. Like, this looks familiar. I already have signed up to it. JD right now is I watch his videos, and he does them a little uniquely, a little differently. And I watch their podcast, Card Hedger. They make me laugh. I like podcasts that are card related, but don't have to be all about cards. We are more. I think everyone would admit they're more than their hobby. I would hope. I would hope they're more deeper than that. I don't want to hear about politics and all that stuff. I don't want to hear about drama all that much, but just having fun and talking about just whatever tangents, food or clothes we wore or whatever. Because that's why I like watching Carlos. I like watching IRP. And yes, it's about the cards, and the friendships that are made with the cards is more valuable. And that's the type of shows I watch. I Mr. Fisher Mike, I watch him just because we talk. I try to watch Snoop. Uh, I uh, I watch those back pages because he's been such a huge influence in me and on my channel, which I think he is with a lot of people. Uh, I do watch Mike still every once in a while, but I have to admit, the guys that do with the vintage and just vintage, I do watch every once in a while because I don't do a lot of vintage. I do some. Clemente is one of my guys. And Johnny Bench. And it's hard for me to realize that 70s and 80s cards are vintage. So when I say I do a little bit, I do more than a little bit. I get the rookie. I guess some of the guys I collect the guys I like to watch, the ones that made an impact on me as a kid. And so before 70s is kind of, I understand it. I was a history major in college. I love the history of the game. I read the books. I know the stats. I watch the Ken Burns thing every year. I love the history. I mean, you'll see, right? And I mean, I do Gary Carter. So Gary Carter, Yogi Berra, Johnny Bench, and Carlton Fisk right there. That's probably my favorite piece I have, right? That right there. So I do like it, but it gets kind of repetitious. And I've been our little group hashtag watch the games. It seems like a lot of people got a kick out of that. So, I don't want to sound like I know more than anybody else because that's not. I do pick up a lot of things from all the people that I watch, right? And then when I do need to, like, if I have questions and stuff, I do watch Blue Jacket 66. Oh, I love watching Rick too, just because Rick makes me laugh. And the guys from the Misfits, Don, Lou Rock, uh, Scott Reindeer Studios, all these guys I like to watch, but there's only so many hours in a day, and I have so many interests, right? I do follow politics. I do watch TV. I do play video games. So I just don't have with so much time, and I have a real job that's second shift sucks right in the middle of the day. So that takes a lot. Where my day is kind of so broken up because of that. It's kind of it's been tough for me. It's been a year of it. Didn't think it was going to be that bad, but man, I can't wait to get if I can get on first shift. But that's kind of where I'm at for who I watch and why I watch. Because I don't want to leave people out. I hate naming names because then I feel like I leave people out. but like I watch a lot, and then if I stick with them, it's because more than not, I have a personal relationship with them. They've either been on my show, somebody I talked to, somebody, man, at the beginning of my video, I have met and taken pictures with, had great conversations with, and then I still neglect. I don't get to see Picker Jim as much as I like to see, or Bowman 53. I don't watch as much as I would love to, and it does. Uh, I almost feels like I feel like I'm neglecting people uh, because of that. But man, we have such a great community. Gets bigger every day. I try to find newer people with smaller channels like me because I don't want to. I know how it feels, and I've gotten over it. Of feeling the struggle. I don't want to say I don't care what my numbers are because that's not true. But it doesn't mean as much. It doesn't mean anything. I like to see. I rather see the same. I get the same commenters, the same 20 people in my chat, and that's why I notice when I see new names in the chat. I see, when somebody says hi to me in a show, and I want to know what their name is. I love it because making us, just by knowing their name, I know who they are. So I implore you to try to comment on videos. So anybody watches this, it does help videos out. It helps the algorithm. Um, you know, we need to support each other. I'm bad at it because, like everybody else, I've gotten to where I watch I listen to a lot in the car. Jason likes to do them in the car. I like to air my 30-minute ride to and from work. And also, at night when I come back, I usually have a baseball game on. But yeah, that's my ride. But when I go places, I listen to YouTube most of the time. So it's hard for me to comment, or I have it up while I'll be having a baseball game on and flipping through YouTube or doing things. And I think that's what a lot of us do now. That's what I've been hearing more and more. We'll cue things and just let it run. But I think we all need to get better at commenting. A lot of people do a really good job too. I could go to some channels and see comments all over the place. Let me get to the week there is. I am really blowing this out the water. Sorry about how long this is. Haven't showed a card yet, and I'm just chatting away. So I hope that anybody has questions on how and why. I love talking about it. That's just scratching the surface on why I collect too. Then let's see. So the week there is tomorrow night. Natsman said he's going to be back, so that'll be awesome. It's just going to be me and him. We do have some things to talk about. Hopefully, he has his thank you cap on. I like to bounce some things off of him because he watches a lot of videos too. He's he always has. I love talking to him. He has some great opinions and loves to share them. So we'll have that Wednesday. We sharing some pickups. My first COMC purchase has come back. I have nothing but good things to say about COMC. It did not take long and packaged well. I do have one gripe. The printout. We don't need 2-3 printouts of the card picture. I don't understand that. But anyway, let's see. Thursday, depends on what happens at the show today, what I watch this week. I don't want to have shows, my Wednesday, Thursday shows, just for the sake of having shows. My Saturday and Sunday and Monday. Oh, I forgot my Monday with my dad. So I like, we're going to do those because I always have that type of stuff for me to do. But anyway, like, share. We'll see you tomorrow night. I'm going to go have some fun at this retro thing. I can't wait to get there. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm stale. It's just kind of sitting around that 550 something mark. I picked up a couple here and there. So until next time, see ya.